Hello, I'm Fred Forche, founder of Bitcentral. Welcome to the Founders Table, where we're going to discover what it means to be a founder.
Welcome back to the Founders Table. In this episode, I, Bob Gold, am going to take you through what every Bitcentral shareholder and employee should be thinking about for your future. And I hope you've been enjoying what you've seen so far. Of course, I'm sitting with our founder, Fred Forche. This is a pivotal time in America and in business where everyone is going to be affected by what's going on, whether you want to be or not. You've been there before. Where does creativity occur?
Well, it comes from seeing opportunity. And that opportunity sometimes is not necessarily obvious. It also comes from taking that opportunity and looking at what tools you have available to execute on that opportunity. So when you look at, for example, you brought up the macroeconomics right now.
Right.
We're in 2023. And right now the world is uncertain, very uncertain. Well, news is at the center of that. The traditional local TV broadcast news is a great business. But what's happened is the audience is kind of scattering to the wind, right? And as we know, in the numbers in cable and what's going on. But the audience hasn't gone away from watching news. The audience is just watching it in a different way. Mm-hmm. So the news business is pretty darn good. It's how it's being viewed and how it's being monetized. Those are the challenges in the system today.
Is collaboration and creativity supported by work from home? Is there good or bad about that? Should we be having a hybrid work environment? What do you feel?
Well, we're, as humans, not necessarily tuned to be in isolation. That's a big problem. Yeah. And also from an innovation and collaboration and people bouncing ideas off each other and also from a team standpoint, being part of a team that you're working together, both in play and work. A lot of that's lost now in the culture where people are not necessarily in the office. So I see most organizations have moved back to the office, and the studies out there show that that's really the way to go. But I think but also from just how an organization, you might say the esprit de corps of an organization and how they function, it's just a lot better when people are working together.
What are some of the elements of your culture that you value at Bitcentral?
Well, I often say that you can't really build relationships in a meeting, and you also can't build a relationship in a Zoom meeting. It's just difficult. And so if relationships are important, and it is for all of us, our relationships are important, but on the business side, having those relationships, I think is important to do them in person, to spend time with people, to listen to people, understand what's going on in their lives. And that applies to members of the team or customers or just your friends. You want to treat everybody the same.
Is there an environment at Bitcentral for that information to come back up and help to filter through and be embraced by the organization for next steps?
Any good, healthy organization is listening not only to the employees who are out there in the field every day doing their work, but listening to the customer. Not necessarily, we're always listening to the upper management because they're the ones talking to us, right? They're the ones, but it's the people doing the work with the products, the people using the products every day. It's really important to listen to them too, right? Because they have that insight into what they do in their jobs. And also sometimes that feedback, it doesn't necessarily come back saying, hey, we need a product that does X. But they have challenges that's where the opportunity is that they're perceiving things that they can't get done or that maybe we could really help them do. But they don't know how to do that.
Innovation, invention is expensive. How do you balance how much to invest in research and development and just to manage the profitability of a company?
You have to have a balance between looking forward and also addressing the needs of customers today. And a lot of times, I remember the ex-CEO of Avid described this as like a hamster wheel, that what happens in it limits the size of companies in the industry. Because as you grow, your customer base grows. As the customer base grows, each one of them has their needs, and they come to the company saying, we want this, we want that. And so pretty soon, you can't be moving ahead with innovation. You're sitting on this little hamster wheel, just satisfying the needs of your customer base.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge, is how do you take and break out of that? How do you get a company so that not only you're really attentive to what your existing customers have, but how do you move ahead? Yeah. Sometimes that takes investment. Sometimes it just takes separating and saying we've got to discipline ourselves to do some of that forward development where we still have to serve the needs of those customers.
Is that another balancing act of how long you string along that monetization before you invest in the next evolution of the technology?
Well, and that's why sometimes you bring in investment, external investment, because that gives you the shot in the arm, you might say, to get ahead. But doing it out of your own profitability is a slower go at it, but then there's some advantages to that as well. But that's a big trade-off.
What do you think the employees at Bitcentral feel is a clear agenda for moving forward, and how are they helping to grow the business?
Well, the agenda is taking the products that we have today, and whether they be our streaming products, which is fuel and power, and to take those products and move them in the right direction, following what our customers' our needs are. And the same thing with our news products. We've made some huge gains with our Create product, which is now it's a browser-based editor, all HTML5 based, and tying into our next generation of Oasis and asset management, et cetera. So there's a lot that we're working on right now that really moves our products ahead. Mm-hmm. And so that is that's the roadmap where the company is today.
How big could Bitcentral become, and are there other industries that the company might want to tackle one day, or that you'd like to tackle?
Right. Well, the news production process is actually a very finely honed process. And if you think about what a TV station does every day to produce the kind of content they produce, and then you look at over in other people producing content for, let's say, we'll call it the YouTube creators of the world.
Yeah.
They're very inefficient compared to the way a broadcast operation works. Now, they're very different in what they do, but there's a lot of similarities as well. Could we bring those efficiencies into different forms of content production? And the answer is we could. There's some things that need to be different, but nonetheless, I think that there is a world out there of people producing content every day that could really benefit not only from the efficiencies in the workflows in the production process, but from efficiencies in distribution.
What advice would you give to shareholders and to the employees about how to navigate this rough water ahead?
Well, to go through a tough time, sometimes they can be the best time because there's a lot of market forces that aren't necessarily present when you have good times, right? And so you can look at where are those market opportunities that you can uniquely fulfill. Where are the ways that you can innovate through this process so that you end up in a down market and now when times will never be down forever, but the point is when they do turn good, that you're really well positioned. So yes, you may have some times where you have to tighten your belt, where you have to run the company leaner, but if you're doing the right things during that time, that when things do turn around, you're well prepared, and you've taken advantage of that time because there's things that you can do that you couldn't do when the market is high. You know, there's products that you could integrate or bring in that wouldn't be available.
What's your greatest wish for the company?
The thing I love most about Bitcentral is the Bitcentral team. Some of these people have been at Bitcentral 20 years, and I just love working with these people. They're absolutely amazing, and some of the newer members bring also a wealth of talent to the organization. And so where I see the company going as an organization is really building upon this wonderful foundation, this great team, and just doing what we do better, and serving markets new customers and new markets as they emerge.
But Fred, you have a plan, don't you?
Yes, I do. And the idea is that whether you're an employee or a shareholder, that I'd really welcome you to contact me directly, and would love to talk with you about my vision of where we're going at Bitcentral.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for watching the Founders Table. We hope you've enjoyed it. We hope you reach out to Fred. And if there's more questions or answers that we can direct, we want to be able to talk to you too. Thank you for watching.